And this will benefit us not only throughout the holiday season, but beyond it if we continue this practice. Also, doing this with intention and making it part of our everyday routine keeps us grounded and in the moment, something we can all benefit from, right? Parenthood is challenging enough as it is, and getting organized sounds easier said than done. Now, combine these two together, and it's truly a balancing act that many of us struggle with day in, day out. If you're here, it's because you want to know how to get your life and home more organized and structured where the kids are involved too, so that parent life is a little easier and you can focus on what truly matters. Hey there, I'm 𝘲𝗫𝗶𝘀, owner and founder of One Tidy Place. I created this podcast because I know parents have their hands full. I know this because I have 3 kids of my own. Each week, we'll talk about all things organizing, teaching kids life skills, and contributing to the home, being on the same page with your partner, and raising your kids together while you tidy up, go out for a walk, or just need some real talk. I'm here for you. Thank you for tuning in. Are you ready? Let's do this. Ever forget to wash something so you just pull it out of the hamper? How many times have the kids run out of clean underwear? And forget trying to remember the last time the sheets and blankets were even washed. Leave the guesswork and uncertainty behind and download my PDF guide right now. In this new guide I created, I walk you through step by step on how to plan and schedule your laundry items so that you'll have peace of mind knowing there's a plan to follow. When there's a plan, there's no extra thinking involved on your part. I also provide you with the tips and tricks on how to get kids started and involved. Included in this PDF guide is an example of what our laundry schedule looks like right now, so you have an idea of how it all works. Don't let laundry overload you anymore. Take control and let this guide do the thinking for you. Head to 𝘲𝗫𝗶𝗀.com/laundry schedule. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Parenting Guide, Organizing Habits Made Easy podcast. I'm so excited to share this episode with you because I think it's an important one, especially over the holiday season. Now, before we start, if you've been listening to at least one podcast episode of mine and you got some value from it, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave me a review on Apple Podcast. The more reviews and follows I get, the more Apple will boost up my podcast show and place it in front of more people. And the more people I can reach to help make their home lives a little bit easier and reduce their mental load, the ripple effects of that will be so unbelievably incredible and impactful on the lives they touch every single day. So please, if you have a few moments to leave a review, I'd be forever grateful to you. Okay, so back to the episode. You're listening to podcast episode number 27, How to Prevent Holiday Burnout. Are you ready? Let's go. To many, holiday preparations start after Halloween. Others push it to the start of Black Friday, or like us, I start putting stuff up somewhere around the first week or 2 of December because our decorations and tree stay up for a good week into January. Basically after the 6th, when we also celebrate Armenian Christmas. However, there are quite a few people, and I know some friends who do this, their holiday season starts as early as summer vacation ends. That's a full 3 months of conceptualizing, preparing, and implementing. So with this in mind, as well as being mindful of my own feelings and reasoning why I wait well into December to put my decorations up, which I'll share with you later on, but it got me thinking about the impact this season has on our mental health, emotional wellness, and overall well-being. Let's all agree, this is a busy time of the year, on top of it being the holidays. For many, it's year-end, so work is demanding to get all the numbers in and the sales accounted for and working for that big bonus. This is also a time where the heaviness from losing someone can be felt so deeply, or the feelings of guilt and self-worthiness can come creeping in and stinging some of us. It's enough to get burnt out. But let's not get to that point, okay? In creating this episode, my hope is to arm you and give you tools and strategies of how to go about the holidays that won't lead you to burnout, to give you tips and tricks on how to manage the overwhelm and be present and in the moment so that you can enjoy the holiday season amidst all the chaos, demands, and spreading the joy. So in this episode, I'll be talking to you about how to set the tone so that your intentions are established and used as your guiding light to get through this season. With setting the tone, you'll learn ways to pace yourself so as to avoid the overwhelm that can lead to burnout. Next, I'll talk about creating space so that our mental health is always in check. And finally, I'll talk about something many of us struggle with, and that's setting boundaries, because we know what lies ahead of us, but how can we manage and control our tendencies as well? So let's start with set the tone. This has to do with being aware and realistic about the current situation. In this case, we are in the holiday season, but this first strategy doesn't only have to be applied here. No. Setting the tone can be for any situation where life is going to change for a certain amount of time or indefinitely. So how'd setting the tone come about? This is something I brought up by chance with my husband 𝘁𝗍𝗶 back in June, right around the end of the kids' school year, the end of all the graduation meetings and celebration, the rush to get all the teachers' gifts and thank you notes in on time, and coordinating everything else in between for each kid. It was enough to cause anyone to skate around the burnout zone. But before I got to that, it hit me. In a space between two breaths, I had a moment of self-awareness and a reality check of what was to be for the next 2.5 months. Summer schedule. Just to paint a picture here, summer brings in a whole different kind of chaos than the regular one we endure 9 to 10 months of the year when they're at school. At least with school, the kids leave for most of the day. What was soon to become my reality, like they have been every summer for the past 6 years at least, the kids were going to be home 24/7. Now, don't get me wrong, we designed our lifestyle to be this way, and it has tons of benefits that I'm actually letting on. It's just to contrast the massive change in structure and mindset that was about to happen. It takes a couple of days to adjust, but soon I embrace the slower pace. So about setting the tone, at the beginning of this past summer, I had a conversation with 𝘁𝗍𝗶 where I pointed out that because the kids were going to be home all summer long, where we'd be constantly in and out every single day, that the house was going to be a little less orderly. I think I said it more bluntly like, don't expect the house to be super clean every day. And he was totally in agreement and understood the demands it had on me. He's such a sweet guy. Anyhow, I simply wanted to bring this up, not because he'd be checking, but just to let him know, to bring him to where my thoughts were and paint the picture of what the next few months were going to be like. I mean, just think about what your house looks like after any holiday or even just after the weekend. It's a whole other dynamic. They're home, all or most meals will be here, they will be playing, entertaining, and into more things in the house. So yeah, this conversation was actually to put it out there on the table and lower our expectations when it came to the house's cleanliness or tidiness. Well, I shouldn't say cleanliness because no, we're not living in dirt or anything, but I can tell you that I wasn't washing my floors every single week or every second one for that matter. Now, I'm going to be real with you. Handling the floors wasn't even on my radar until I was getting grossed out or if we had guests coming over. That's when I would bust out the mop and bucket, then clean the heck out of our floors after they left, just to say tasks like this were more on a must-do basis versus a need-to basis. And anyway, don't they say sterilizing your home too much isn't good for our immune system? We need those germs to keep us strong and healthy. That and washing our hands too. Let's not forget that. Thanks, COVID. All right, next up on how to prevent holiday burnout is pace yourself. Now, what do I mean by this is do a little bit of decluttering every day and don't tidy up alone. We all know this time of year can make our year-end calendar quite full. So the house tends to take a back seat. And if you'll be receiving guests, there's a lot of hustle and bustle to ensure the house is close to Pinterest perfect. But like many home staging projects, the bulk of our things, the everyday stuff, ends up being shoved in another room or a closet until we can address them later on. Oftentimes, that later on doesn't happen right when the guests leave or even the next day, but much later in the spring or even in the summertime. This is because after the holidays, it's back to the daily grind, and there's just not enough time to get through all that. Sound familiar? So I strongly encourage you to take baby steps throughout the day when it comes to tidying up and straightening your house out. Focus on one room or space at a time. If you have to, set a timer for 10 minutes and that's it. And don't forget that buzzer. If you're anything like me, I tend to get carried away moving from one room to the next without having finished the last one, and next thing you know, I've been cleaning for 2 hours. So I'll say it again. Don't forget that buzzer. If you have helpers, then it's a great opportunity to get the rest of the family involved too. What I often do is make a list of all the things that need to get done so that the house feels like it's gotten a good cleaning, despite all the decor covering most of the surfaces in the common rooms. Then I'll assign age-appropriate tasks to my kids. These tasks generally take no longer than 20 minutes to do. On top of this, there's usually laundry we have to deal with. Have I ever mentioned that laundry's never ending? So especially in busy times, just like now, you can guarantee that there's at least a basket or two that's been sitting in the living room floor for a few days, just waiting for us to take action on it. Now, how I usually go about this is I get the kids to separate the baskets of clothes into 4 piles: tops, bottoms, underwear, and socks. Then from there, we each take a section to fold. After the few minutes it takes to sort out 4 piles, it just takes 10 more minutes to fold each section, provided there hasn't been any distractions. Which, in my kids' place, there most probably is, because they like to fold while watching something on Netflix. Whereas I like to just focus on the task at hand without watching anything. It goes by quicker, I find. Often the reason why too is that there's only one folding technique to concentrate on. When you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, you just get better and faster every time. So sorting out the laundry into 4 piles before folding is a total game changer at our house. Okay, so you know how I said I hold off until the first couple of weeks in December before putting up the tree and all the decorations? There are 2 reasons why, where the first one ties in with the second reason. As mentioned earlier, our decorations stay up beyond the 26th or even the 31st. They stay up until after the 6th of January because that's when we also celebrate Armenian Christmas. Along with the tree and the stockings, I also love to display the kids' holiday-related arts and crafts from when they were in daycare up until present day. All over the walls, the windows, hanging from the light fixtures, and all on the tabletops, the dining chairs, and everywhere else I can think of. If you listen to my podcast episode number 25, 17 Habits to Making Our Lives Easier, I talk about having chair covers being a game changer, especially when you have glossy furniture that highlights all the handprints, stains, and whatnot on them, like mine do. I had Onig make some cute, festive ones one year for the holidays. I linked the episode in today's show notes, and I think in that episode, I also referenced the chair covers, and I give you a link so you can see what they look like on Instagram. So all this to say is that everything out and displayed, the red, green, silver, and gold, without a doubt, the cluttered look and feel in the main areas of our home are very far from giving that sense of calm. However, when only the lights in our tree are on, it truly feels magical. As for the visual chaos that seems to take over most of the day, well, those lights really make up for it at night. So you can see why I'm in no rush to put up the Christmas decorations. It's purely to reduce the amount of time our senses, mainly our visuals, are getting exposed to the overstimulation that our holiday decor can bring. It can get pretty overwhelming mentally too. Let's not forget all the other pressures and demands placed on us that can lead anyone to burnout. If you can avoid heading down that road and pacing yourself with all the to-dos, even just a little bit, then I'm thrilled. But don't stop here. Let's go to the next strategy on how to prevent holiday burnout, which is number 3 on the list, create mental space. Ever notice a change in not only the pace of your day, but a change in mindset when the kids are back to school after a long holiday, the summer off, when they've been sick at home, or even after just the weekend? When you're home with all of them, all day, every day, it's noisy. Not only in actual real life, but so is your mind. There's a lot going on between our ears when everyone's home, right? But that moment when they take off and you know you have that bit of freedom to think about anything else other than the kids, it's just amazing. After the summer ended and everyone was back in school this year, I heard it from a few mom friends in different chat groups that I'm part of. The different reactions and comments that were flying in from, "Oh my gosh, freedom," to "Wow, I got so much done today. I can't believe it," to "I love my kids to pieces, but they take up all my thinking space. I was able to do things I've been putting off for weeks." Now, with the holidays coming up, I don't need to paint the picture again about how our physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional well-being is highly susceptible to go into overdrive and have a potential for burnout. With all the noise out there, it's extremely important to set some quiet time as much as possible. Whether it's running out for a quick errand and literally closing the door from all the chaos of the outside world, or, and this is my favorite, when I'm outside with my kids while on my way to the car or watching from the bottom of the hill as they slide down countless times, I like to just look up. I close my eyes for a few seconds and take at least one long, deep breath. Funny enough, though, when you're bundled up from this weather, it kind of muffles the sounds around you. It's pretty cool, having those minutes of quiet as you look up into the sky and feel the cold wind in your face, or if you're lucky enough, feel the snowflakes melt off your cheeks. It's almost magical. If you can get outside, do it. Go take that walk early in the morning or in the evenings. It's such a contrast to the everyday demands, pressure, and busyness. If going out is totally impossible for you, perhaps investing in noise-canceling earphones as you wrap presents or ice another dozen cookies. It's good enough for now. The point here is allowing your mind to reset and creating space to gain some breathing room and clarity from time to time. And this will benefit us not only throughout the holiday season, but beyond it if we continue this practice. Also, doing this with intention and making it part of our everyday routine keeps us grounded and in the moment, something we can all benefit from, right? All right, we made it to the last strategy on how to prevent holiday burnout, and that is to set boundaries. Here's what I mean by this. You know how the holidays often means spending time with loved ones, even when it's awkward, getting together with friends you just saw the other week, to those you haven't even seen in years. Christmas parties and staff dinners, from the wild and fun to the most eerily quiet ones, and everything else in between. I remember when we were in our late teens, when my sister and I had boyfriends, coordinating their family dinners along with ours was strategic. Call it a preview of adulthood, making plans with people you want to be with and those you have to be with. The question is, which one is which? But it just takes a lot of energy, effort, and the willingness to attend more than one party on the same day. And let's not forget the playdates. So if you listen to my podcast episode from last week, number 26, teaching kids about prepping the house for guests, because if you're a parent of school-aged kids, at least whenever school's out, you know the requests will be coming flying in to hang out with their friends. Oftentimes, too, it's the time off that means let's do stuff. From ice skating to skiing to building snowmen or maybe just relaxing at the spa. It can cost a pretty penny for the extras. Not to mention taking advantage of all the year-end sales and Boxing Day discounts. How far can your wallet stretch? Which brings me to my next area that tends to go beyond our limits is our budget. Whether it was the pandemic that has us feeling like we need to do more and buy more, or it's guilt, or maybe it's just a huge dose of generosity this time of year brings. Whatever the reason, our budget can take a big hit and we won't feel it until January rolls in. There's a reason why they call January the Monday of months, because you feel that slap of reality the moment you get the bills. It's enough to set your mood from festive to blah for a long time. Between a booked calendar and going over budget, the effects of this alone can lead anyone to burnout. But it doesn't have to go that route if you set some boundaries first. Just to be clear, I'm not saying don't visit friends or family. I'm just saying after any event, give yourself space to not do anything or go anywhere and just be. As Dr. 𝘁𝗍𝗋 always says, slow down. And in regards to the purchases, I'm also not saying don't get that massage you so deserve because you haven't done anything for yourself in months or even years. Just be very mindful before pulling out your credit card after seeing the words sale or discount. A sentence that always comes to mind that works for me is, do they really need this? And I'm talking about the kids. Or I can even say it to myself, do I even really need this right now? Especially if it's something physical, like a tangible product. Whenever I invest in something, I think long term. How will this help us or the recipient today, tomorrow, next year, or in the next few years? Is this something that's easy to maintain? And the organizer/mom in me is always asking, do we have room for this in our house? And what I mean by room is not only physical space, but time and energy to use it, care for it, and have it part of our lives. All right, so there you have it, my 4 strategies to help you prevent burnout over the holidays. Let's do a quick recap. Number 1, set the tone. Have an open and honest discussion with your spouse and even the kids about what's going on for the next few weeks. Explain what the state of the house can and will look like. Also, set the tone with yourself about the expectations you normally place on yourself when it comes to the holidays. Give yourself, your family, and one another grace, which is totally in line with the next strategy. Pace yourself. Do a little bit of decluttering every day and don't do it alone. There's nothing like a group effort of just 10 to 20 minutes at the end of the day, or if you prefer, after meals to give you all a prompt, then do so. There's no better feeling of accomplishment and teamwork when everyone's pulling their weight in keeping the house organized and tidy. Number 3, create mental space. Whether it's journaling for 10 minutes before the day starts, or as part of your unwinding ritual, or it's getting some fresh air no matter what you're doing outside, sledding, dropping off donations, or in between visits. Take a few minutes to yourself and just breathe. And finally, strategy number 4 to prevent holiday burnout is set boundaries. Set boundaries with your time by spacing some events out here and there, and if it's within your control too. But slowing down and being mindful of what you decide to spend your hard-earned money on are important for staying within a comfortable zone financially. After listening to this podcast episode, I hope these strategies gave you a direction for protecting your mental health and sidestep that path towards burnout. And if today's episode helped you in any way, and you know of another parent struggling with their mental health during the holidays, or maybe you just have this intuition, a feeling that people in general could use a reminder to keep their mindset in check, then please be so kind as to share the link of this episode with them via text, in an email saying, hey, I just listened to this podcast, I think it's really helpful, or simply sharing the link of this episode on social media. You can grab the link now. It's dianejimenez.com/27. All right, my sweet friend, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate the time you spend with me, and I hope to see you again next time. Have a great week. Bye-bye.